Krishna will now read out the messages of Honorable President of Bangladesh on this occasion.
Good morning. Thank you for joining us. Now I am going to read out the message of the Honorable President of Bangladesh on the National Mourning Day. Today, 15th August, our National Mourning Day, the 43rd martyrdom anniversary of the father of the nation, Bangabandhu Sheikh Mujibur Rahman. It is a tragic day in the history of the Bengali nation. With heavy heart, I pay my deep homage to the memory of Bangabandhu. I pray to the Almighty Allah for the salvation of the departed soul of all the martyrs on this National Mourning Day. On this day in 1975, the undisputed leader and father of the nation, Bangabandhu Sheikh Mujibur Rahman, was brutally assassinated at his residence by a group of killers with the connivance of anti-liberation forces. His wife, Sheikh Fazilatunesa Mujib, sons namely Sheikh Kamal, Sheikh Jamal, Sheikh Rasil, and some near and dear ones were also assassinated along with Bangabandhu. Bangabandhu had never compromised on the rights of our people. After crossing manifold acclivities and declivities, the great leader finally declared country's independence on March 26, 1971, and the Bengali achieved ultimate victory through a 9-month-long earned struggle. Under his command, he was a man of unmatched courage, having steadfast personality like the Himalayas. At gunpoint, he asked the killers with a thundering voice, "What do you want?" The well-being of Bengali and Bangladesh used to nourish in the belief of Bangabandhu. For his outstanding contributions, Bangabandhu and Bangladesh thus emerged as a unique symbol to the people of Bangladesh. The Honorable Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina, daughter of Bangabandhu, has embarked Bangladesh upon a remarkable journey towards development and prosperity. Bangladesh already transformed into a lower middle income country and graduated from least developed country to a developing one. Bangladesh is now marching ahead in every aspect of socio-economic indicator, attaining continuous economic growth, raising per capita income, launching of satellite into the space, building Rupur nuclear power plant, implementing mega projects like the Padma Bridge by own resources in line with the current development. I am confident that Bangladesh would be a developed country by 2041. Now the message of the Honorable Prime Minister. The 15th August is the National Mourning Day. On this day in 1975, the greatest Bengali of all time, father of the nation, Bangabandhu Sheikh Mujibur Rahman, along with his family members, was assassinated in one of the most barbaric carnages in human history. 18 members of the family, along with Bangabandhu's wife, Sheikh Fazilatunesa Mujib, 3 sons, Captain Kamal, Lieutenant Sheikh Jamal, and Sheikh Rasil, 2 daughters-in-law, Sultana Kamal and Rozi Jamal, brother Sheikh Nasir, peasant leader Abdul Hussain Niabat, youth leader Sheikh Fazlul Haq Moni and his wife Arju Moni, baby Shen Niabat, Sukanto Babu, Arif and Abdul Naim Khan Dintu were killed on that fateful night. Bangabandhu's military secretary, Colonel Jamil, was also killed. Some members of a family at Mohammadpur in the capital were also killed by artillery shells fired by the killers on the same day. On this day, I pray to the Almighty Allah for the salvation of the souls of all martyrs of the 15th August, including Father of the Nation. Under the dynamic, courageous and charismatic leadership of the Father of the Nation, the people of this country brought the reddish sun of the independence, breaking the shackles of subjugation of thousands of years. The Bengalis have gotten their own nation-state flag and national anthem. But Bangabandhu Sheikh Mujibur Rahman was killed at a time when he had undertaken an arduous task of building a golden Bangladesh, reconstructing the war-ravaged country and unifying the whole nation. The defeated forces of the Liberation War made abortive attempts to ruin the tradition, culture, and advancement of the Bengali nation. Their aim was to destroy the secular democratic fabric of Bangladesh. The anti-liberation forces linked to the carnage initiated the politics of assassination, coup, and conspiracy. The trial of Bangabandhu's brutal assassination was blocked through promulgation of indemnity ordinance. Ziaur Rahman usurped the state power and promulgated martial law, suspending the constitution and overthrowing the people's elected government. The killers of the father of the nation were rewarded and given jobs at the Bangladesh missions abroad. The anti-liberation elements were given nationality. They were made partners of the state power and rehabilitated politically and socially. The subsequent government of BNP Jamaat alliance had followed the same path. Winning the general elections on 12th June 1996, Bangladesh Awami League assumed the power after long 21 years. A new horizon of development was initiated during the 5-year tenure, overcoming the obstacles of the past. The country, once deficient in food production, became self-sufficient. This period was a golden era for the countrymen. We had initiated the trial of the Bangabandhu Sheikh Mujib killing case, but after taking over state power, BNP Jamaat government stopped the trial. The people of the country made Awami League victorious again in the 29th December general elections in 2008, overcoming the stagnancy left by the previous BNP Jamaat government and global economic recession. We have put the country on firm economic footing. Executed the verdict of the Bangabandhu killing case. The trial of the killers of 4 national leaders has been completed. The verdicts of the cases against war criminals are being executed. Our government is following zero tolerance policy to uproot militancy, terrorism. The path of grabbing state power unconstitutionally has been stopped by passing 15th Amendment to the Constitution by the Parliament. We have to remain ready to resist any ill attempt by the anti-liberation communal group and anti-development democracy forces. The killers were able to assassinate Bangabandhu Sheikh Mujibur Rahman, but they could not erase his dreams and ideals. Let us come and turn the grief of the loss of Bangabandhu into strength. Let us engage ourselves holding Bangabandhu's philosophy in building a non-communal, hunger, illiteracy-free and happy, prosperous Bangladesh and establish the golden Bangladesh as dreamed by the father of the nation. That is our solemn pledge on the National Mourning Day.
Mr. M.D. Nizamuddin, Assistant Consular Officer, will now read out the messages of the Honorable Minister for Foreign Affairs of Bangladesh.
Today is 15 August, our National Mourning Day, the most disgraceful day in the history of Bengali nation. On this day of mourning, I pay my deepest respect to the father of the nation, Bangabandhu Sheikh Mujibur Rahman, and his family members murdered on 15 August 1975. I also pray for the celebration of the departed souls. Bangabandhu led all the democratic movement of Bengalis directed towards getting their freedom of right, including the language movement in 1952, the United Front victory in 1954 election, student movement of 1962, six-point movement of 1966, mass upsurge of 1969, and the general election of 1917. He never compromised on the question of the right of the Bengalis in response of his clarion call. The Bengali people took part in the 9-month-long Great Liberation War and achieved independent Bangladesh. The father of the nation, Bangabandhu Sheikh Mujibur Rahman, dreamed of a happy and prosperous Sonar Bangla, free from all kinds of exploitation and of oppression. His dream was inspired by the enduring love for people, affection for Bengalis, and a society free from all kinds of discrimination. All those constitute the core philosophy of his life. The Awami League government under the leadership of Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina has implemented the verdict of Bangabandhu murder trial. The government is also committed to uphold democracy and the rule of law. Honorable Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina's zero tolerance policy toward all forms to terrorism and violent extremism has received full support and cooperation from the people of all walks of life as well as from the international community.
The messages of the Honorable State Minister for Foreign Affairs of Bangladesh.
I am reading out the message of Mr. Shahriar Alam MP, Honorable State Minister of Foreign Affairs of Bangladesh. Message goes: today is 15th August, our National Mourning Day, the most sorrowful and disgraceful day in the history of Bengali nation. At this dark night of 43 years back, the greatest leader of the liberation war, founding architect of Bangladesh, father of the nation, Bangabandhu Sheikh Mujibur Rahman, was brutally killed. Fortunately, both of the daughters of Bangabandhu, Sheikh Hasina, presently Honorable Prime Minister, and Sheikh Rehana survived the carnage as they were abroad at that time. On this grief-stricken day, I recall our father of the nation, Bangabandhu Sheikh Mujibur Rahman, and his family members martyred on 15th August with deep reverence. Bangabandhu Sheikh Mujibur Rahman is a name, a history. In fact, had there been no Bangabandhu, we would not have got our dearest Bangladesh.
May I kindly request Madam Nilofer Bhagwat to kindly say something on this occasion.
We gather here not only to mourn Bangabandhu Sheikh Mujibur Rahman, but also to honor him and to mourn and honor millions of people of Bengal who died both in the resistance to the British East India Company, struggling for independence, and thereafter, after 15th August 1947, the independence of the subcontinent, continued the struggle to resist colonial and neo-colonial forces who continued to target East Pakistan, which then liberated itself under the leadership of Bangabandhu to establish Bangladesh. The objective which he struggled for was the sovereignty of the nation, economic and political. Today, this struggle is relevant as many countries are going under, not only under military control and occupation, the victims of continuous war, but also victims of financial occupation and economic exploitation. The reason why he was assassinated, the real reason why he was assassinated, was that the path that he decided to take post 1975 was a path of complete emancipation of all the people of Bangladesh in a pattern of inclusive and not a non-inclusive development. That is, the program that he announced was for the emancipation of the peasantry, all working people, middle-income groups, and everyone else, excluding and opposing any imperialist economic policy to reverse the gains of the liberation struggle of Bangladesh. It would be relevant to recall here that before the arrival of the British East India Company, who established first a factory in Bengal in 1633, and thereafter politically took over with its private army, not only Bengal but the entire subcontinent of India. After the Battle of Plassey, which was not a battle at all, but a subversion of a section of the leadership of then Bengal. That Bengal, before the arrival of British imperialism, was known as the paradise of Bengal. I've had this discussion with many people who have come to the subcontinent of India in the last couple of decades. And they have said, but why is there so much poverty in Bengal, both on the Indian side and Bangladesh? This was about 2-3 decades ago, this conversation. And they were surprised when I told them that the reason why there is this tremendous poverty in the region which we call Bengal on both sides is directly related to the fact that this was the region once known as the paradise of Bengal before the arrival of imperialism. That this was the area from where British imperial rule commenced, with the Devani or the revenue collection of this entire region of Bengal, Bihar and Orissa. Why is it necessary to recall this? Because his was a long political journey. He's realized post-47 that religion cannot be the basis of nationhood. That a nationhood means and includes all the people of the country. Another example, political example, very necessary for those countries who seek to establish a concept of nationhood which is distorted and which seeks to exclude political and linguistic minorities or religious minorities. I conclude by saying that today, in certain respects of the Human Development Index, Bangladesh has gone in advance of my country, India. And whereas this is a matter of great satisfaction to the people of Bangladesh, once again, it is necessary for us to understand why. It is because he led a struggle for the sovereign and economic independence of his country. We are realizing, both in India and many other countries of the world, including in Latin America, that political independence is hollow without financial sovereignty and economic independence. Policies linked to the sovereign development and all-inclusive development of a country. For us in South Asia, he is an example for all of us to follow. Thank you.
Now may I kindly request Lieutenant General Kuldeep Rasa to kindly say something on this occasion.
Your Excellency and friends, it's a twist of destiny that today, 15th August, while India celebrates its 71st year of freedom, of independence, we are gathered here on the same day to observe a black day as far as Bangladesh is concerned, a day of mourning, the day when Bangabandhu Mujibur Rahman was brutally assassinated in the presidential house in Dhaka. Sheikh Mujibur Rahman was a patriot, and is the founder father of this young nation, Bangladesh. I have personal strong emotions as far as Bangladesh is concerned. Being in the army, I spent months before we liberated Bangladesh living with the Mukti Bahini, young Bengali boys who had been massacred, threatened, slaughtered by the Pakistan army under General Niazi and ran away from Bangladesh and took shelter in India. Every day we sat together, we had our food together, we shouted slogans, Joy Bangla, Joy Hind together. We went to the temple together and we pledged that that one day we are going to liberate Bangladesh and you're going to go back to your country. And that's what happened. On the 16th of December 1971, we were the first to enter Dhaka. When we entered Dhaka, it was amazing how the people thronged to welcome us, the local Bengalis. And it was a relief for them. And we could hear Joy Bangla, Joy Mujib all the time, because they felt that now freedom is coming to us and we're going to be a sovereign nation once again. Having been in Dhaka, we stayed on till the return of the 93,000 prisoners of war there. And it was during this period, on the 10th of January 1972, when I was at Tejgaon airport and the aircraft, Royal Air Force plane, brought Sheikh Mujibur Rahman to land at Tejgaon airport, and he alighted from the aircraft. I can never forget the scene at that moment. Multitudes, sea wave of humanity crowding around and shouting, Joy Bangla, Joy Banga Bandhu, Joy Indira, because it was Indira who helped in the liberation of Bangladesh. It was a scene which cannot escape my eyes and my thoughts. You will recollect that immediately after the surrender of the Pakistani forces in East Pakistan, General Yahya Khan in West Pakistan accepted blame for the turmoil and the defeat in East Pakistan, and he resigned. It was at that time that Zulfikar Ali Bhutto took over as the Chief Martial Law Administrator in Pakistan. Mrs. Gandhi was very anxious that Banga Bandhu comes back to Bangladesh to lead this nation, to be the father of this nation. At the same time, Bhutto was very anxious that his 93,000 prisoners of war get back to Pakistan. I think it was a sort of quid pro quo from both sides. You release Banga Bandhu and we will release these prisoners to go to their respective homes. And it was at that time that Bhutto waived the death sentence that was hanging on Sheikh Mujibur Rahman, released him from prison, and in fact saw him off at Rawalpindi airport. And we had Banga Bandhu coming back to Dhaka, to his own country, to his nation, to lead his people into a new world. I can't forget those moments. We returned here after making sure that the 93,000 prisoners of war went out from Bangladesh and were evacuated. I can say that this friendship between India and Bangladesh is very, very strong. I saw it throughout those months that we were there, in that nation, in that city, Dhaka, how the people of Bangladesh felt that India has come to their rescue and helped them. And may this friendship between India and Bangladesh last forever. Bangladesh is a young nation, but is coming up very fast and rapidly, and I wish them success in the years to come. And at the same time, pray that Bangabandhu's spirit never dies. God bless him and God bless Bangladesh. Thank you, sir.
Now may I kindly request Mr. Sujan Saha, eminent Bangladeshi and business expert, to kindly say something on this occasion.
Today I'm very humbled and very honored to talk about formally something about my all-time hero. But it's not going to be very easy for me to talk about my all-time hero, because we as a Bangladeshi get very emotional to talk about Bangabandhu on this particular day, which is 15th August. Today particularly it is also very difficult to talk about with these Indian friends, because it's a good day for you. So the happy Independence Day to you as well. As I say that, it's very difficult to talk about Bangabandhu, Sheikh Mujibur Rahman's, and you have already experienced some of this speech from our President and the Prime Minister, so how sad and how emotional day this is for all of us in Bangladesh. It's also not possible to know too many things about Bangabandhu, because he was so among us, he was so gigantic. And I remember once the Cuban famous leader Fidel Castro said that I have not seen Himalayas, but I have seen Bangabandhu. To his courage and to his personality, he is Himalayas. So I have thus seized Himalayas as well. Since it is very difficult to know so many things about Bangabandhu, I try to make a script to talk about Bangabandhu, but it's also very difficult to follow the script when we attempted to talk about something about Bangabandhu. Without him, there is no meaning of the nations of Bangladesh. He brought everything to us. He brought the integrity, he brought the freedom, he brought the sovereignty, he brought the smile, he brought the language itself. So he means to everything to us. He is the father of the nations of, but also very unfortunate in many ways, the fate of the Bangabandhu, what happened after the independence as well. So I look at Bangabandhu as my real-time hero, and also try to explain, because I am a businessman, I also try to explain what kind of leadership expertise that I can learn or we can learn from Bangabandhu and can implement same in my own life, in the society, in my family, in my country, in the organizations, and so on and so forth. So one of his activities during his very childhood actually gave a lot of proof that he was going to be a revolutionary leader. He was born in a family, a very low middle class family. His father was Rahman's, was also low middle class family. A little landholder, but Bangabandhu was very extrovert, well loved by the families and the friends and the teachers. So once Bangabandhu in his childhood had actually given all the rices to the poor people on that particular area, to the dismay of his father at a very young age. And this was a kind of the first display of his humanity to the poor people and how he felt about the poor people in the country. So when I look at from the leadership point of view of Bangabandhu, how he was and why he is a real-time hero, not only for me, for millions of people around the world, we see a lot of charisma in Bangabandhu. He was a man of diplomacy. He had a lot of assertiveness. He was one of the courageous leaders in the world. He had a lot of belief, and he had a lot of convictions and a passion for the country. And from all those charisma, we learned so many things about our all-time hero. Now the journey of the Bangabandhu's belief and his vision is still going on. Fortunately, we are at a very capable and efficient hand, and also very safe hands of his own daughter, Sheikh Hasina. And in the last couple of years, the progress that we are making towards making the dream and the vision of the Bangabandhu come true is also going on. So the revolutions and the fight that Bangabandhu has shown to us is still going on. I can still remember some of his speech. If you had also listened some of his speech, each word of the speech are so encouraging, so powerful, that means a lot to everyone in our country. So Bangabandhu will always live in our heart, will always live within us, and we all feel that each one of us is Bangabandhu. Let us also take our journey towards this revolutionary journey that Bangabandhu started for all of us, and let us also make our country as prosperous and as successful as he dreamed for. Thank you very much.
May I now kindly request our Deputy High Commissioner Sirs to say a few words on this occasion.
Respected Lieutenant General Brad, my friends from the Consular Corps, Advocate Nilufar Bhagwat, friends from the media, distinguished guests, and the distinguished members of Bangladesh community. Thank you very much, Madam Ms. Bhagwat and Sir General Bragg, for speaking on the significance of this day, and particularly on the illustrious and charismatic leadership of Bangabandhu Sheikh Mujibur Rahman, the father of the nation of Bangladesh. We, the Bangladeshis, gathered here with heavy hearts to observe the 43rd martyrdom of the father of the nation, Bangabandhu Sheikh Mujibur Rahman, the architect of independent Bangladesh. It is the National Mourning Day of Bangladesh, and indeed, as already you came to know, that on this day, in 1975, the father of the nation and architect of Bangladesh, Bangabandhu Sheikh Mujibur Rahman, was brutally assassinated by a group of misguided army officers. Bangabandhu and many of his family members and relatives were also killed on this carnage. It's a very disgraceful and the saddest moment for Bangladesh and the Bangladeshi people. Distinguished guests, to the people of Bangladesh, the names Bangabandhu and Sheikh Mujibur Rahman, Bangabandhu and Bangladesh are synonymous. When we talk about Bangladesh or we talk about Bangabandhu, we talk about both. Bangabandhu had correctly appreciated since his early political life the condition of Bangladesh, the land of present Bangladesh and the people of Bangladesh, that they have everything, the language, the culture, the fertile land, the traditions. It's a rich, they have rich history, tradition, so they have distinct identity. So they have the right, in fact, to live of their own in a free country, because they have been exploited for a long time, before the British, by the British, and after the British, by the then Pakistani neo-colonial. So he pursued a dream for an independent and free land for the people of Bengali people, where they can live freely, a life free of exploitation, economically and culturally. And this guide him that only political freedom can make it. In a politically free country, the people of Bangladesh can be made free from exploitation, free culturally, economically, and they can live their own life with their culture, with their tradition, with their language. So he pursued the dream till his last day. That's why he led all the movements, the human rights movement, political rights movement, students' rights movements, language movements in 1952. The education movement 1962, March of Charles 1969, and in the meantime he has presented the 6-point demand. It's an agenda for freedom of the Bengali people of East Pakistan, and become the voice of the Bengali people. So, and he has earned the enormous love, respect, and trust of his people because he loved them so much, and he was such a true patriot that there is no question about his love for his people. So in 1970, in the general election, his party, Awami League, won a landslide in an unprecedented victory by begging 167 seats from the then East Pakistan out of 169. So this evinces that how much love and respect he has earned and become the undisputed leader of the Bengali people. So, and he has huge trust on the people also. So he did not think a moment to, when time comes, in the Racecourse Maidan in Dhaka on 7th March in 1971 to get them prepared for independence, that the time is coming to rise up and take preparation for the independence. And on early hours of 26 March 1971, he declared independence of Bangladesh and urged the people to fight against the Pakistan occupation forces till the last soldiers of Pakistan leave the country. And this is the glorious chapter of our history, and history in fact, we can say a new chapter of Bangladeshi March, and we got our independence, the land of Bangladesh, the national anthem of Bangladesh, and the national flag of Bangladesh as a separate independent nation in the global map. In the international arena, Bangabandhu was an iconic leader. Whenever he had gone, he was one of the main attractions of any seminar or conference everywhere. For the people of subcontinent, particularly for the subcontinent, I mean the Indian subcontinent, he hoped for peace and beneficial cooperation and urged on harnessing the resources of this region to utilize effectively and meaningfully to lift the standard of living of the people of this region and to pursue constructive policies politically and economically for the benefit of the people of this region. He expressed his conviction that South Asia together can make valuable contribution to the promotion of global peace. At the international arena, he also advocated for a human world based on peaceful coexistence, non-alignment, and respect for sovereignty for each other. He hoped to utilize the enormous power of science and technology for building a developed world free from fear and tension. He also urged for a just international economic order in which the resources of the globe would be fairly shared and distributed for the welfare of the global population. Distinguished guest, Bangabandhu is our eternal legacy. His ideals, his philosophy will last and will continue to last and reverberate in the hearts of the people of Bangladesh, and it will pass on to generation. And we hope that people of Bangladesh, not only the people of Bangladesh, but the peace-loving people of the globe will draw eternal inspiration from this immortal leader in their march towards establishing just and exploitation-free worlds and better and happier society. On this national mourning day, we the Bangladeshi people take solemn place to translate our grief into strength and dedicate ourselves in building a Sonar Bangla in which the entitlement of each and every citizen to good house, healthcare, education will be granted, and every people will enjoy better life as dreamed by Father of the Nation, Bangabandhu Sheikh Mujibur Rahman. It is a matter of happiness also that Her Excellency Sheikh Hasina, the able daughter of the Father of the Nation, has been steering Bangladesh toward achieving its goal, pursuing a very pragmatic and visionary development agenda. Under her dynamic leadership, a unique image and identity of Bangladesh has been established globally as a peace-loving, democratic, secular, value-driven country and a responsible member of the global community, which is determined and willing to work effectively in the multilateral forum, including the United Nations in particular. I urge all to be united to materialize the dream of Father of the Nation under the visionary leadership of Honorable Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina, daughter of the great leader, in her pursuit of Vision 2021 and Vision 2041 in building prosperous, developed and technologically advanced Bangladesh.
May I request Deputy High Commissioner Sir to present a book, namely The Unfinished Memoirs by Bangabandhu Sheikh Mujibur Rahman, as a token to Madam Nilufar Bhagwan.
Sir.
To Lieutenant General Kuldeep Rar Sir.
Thank you.
To the Consul General of Argentina.
Yeah. Thank you.
To Sujan Shah Sir. May I request Indonesia Consul General to please come forward.
Yeah, sir. Yeah, okay, sir. Sir. One more, yeah? One more. Thank you.
Thank you. Distinguished guests, will conclude our program with a short documentary on the life and works of the Bangabandhu Sheikh Mujibur Rahman.
dark, deep shadow cast a pall of gloom on the life of Bengalis following the defeat of the sovereign Nawab of Bengal, Siraj-ud-Dowla, in the Battle of Polashi in 1757. But Bengalis never ever bowed down to the defeat. Great warriors came out in defiance like Khudiram, Masterda Surya Sen, Pritilota Wadedar, Subhash Chandra Bosu, A.K. Fazlul Haq, Hussain Shahid Sohrawardi and Maulana Bhashani. Following a protracted war of resistance, the British rule came to an end in 1947. But the independence of Bengalis remained incomplete. We had to shed our blood in 1952 for the demand of a language and culture. Sheikh Mujib was then a young student leader. Though very much sober, he was adamant to accomplish his aim. He was ousted from university for voicing in favor of common masses. Upon being elected as General Secretary of Awami League in 1952, he set forth the advancement of the province's popular movement. The United Front was formed in 1954. Though winning a landslide victory in provincial elections, the United Front government was sacked and Mujib was arrested. Released from prison in 1966, he declared the Charter of Emancipation of the People, the historic 6-point demand, and again he was arrested. But the autocratic rulers were compelled to free him in the wake of a mass movement. Released in 1969, Mujib was crowned by the people with the honor of Bongo Bundhu. An unprecedented tidal surge and cyclone completely battered the country's entire coastal regions in 1970. Leaving election campaigns aside, Mujib rushed to the storm-affected people. In the same year's general elections, Awami League under Mujib's able leadership won a thumping victory. But by conspiracy, Bengalis were denied of the legitimate right to self-determination. Following that turbulent political storm, Bongo Bundhu gave the Declaration of Independence in the 7th March historic public meeting at Dhaka. Marking the end of centuries' struggle, walking upright like Tagore, at last he reached the podium, as if a poet tuned to the hymn offered his endless verses. Upon his call, the countrywide non-cooperation movement assumed an unprecedented momentum. The Pakistani rulers made farce of a so-called dialogue and let loose the army in the fateful Black Night of 25th March 1971. Before getting arrested the same night, Bangabandhu declared the War of Independence through a formal statement that read, "The Pakistani army has attacked Pilkhana EPR base and Rajarbagh police line and killed the city's people. Resistance is going on in Dhaka and Chittagong. I am appealing to the nations of the world. Our freedom fighters are at war to liberate our motherland. In the name of Allah, the Almighty, go on with the struggle till the last drop of your blood. Seek assistance from the EPR, Bengal Regiment and Ansars, and victory will be ours. Get the last enemy be driven out of a holy motherland. Send this message to Awami League leaders and workers and to all patriotic and independence-loving people. Let Allah take care of you. Joy Bangla." 10th April 1971. The close associates of Bangabandhu formed the Bangladesh government in exile with him as the president. On 17th April, the government in exile took oath at the mango orchard of Boitunath Tola, Kushtia. The armed struggle for the liberation of Bangladesh began under the supervision of Sayyid Nazrul Islam, Tajuddin Ahmed, Captain Mansoor Ali and A.H.M. Kamruzaman. The murderous Pakistani killers spared no Bengalis. Even women and children fell victim of their mindless massacre and by their collaborators like Rajakars, Al-Badrs and Al-Shams. This genocide and atrocity took the world's conscience by stunning surprise. At last, on December 16, 1971, following an ocean of misery and sacrifice of lives and chastity of hundreds of thousands during the 9 months unprecedented war of liberation, did Bangladesh emerge as an independent country, and the victory was finally won. Bangabandhu returned to Bangladesh on 10 January 1972 from Pakistani prison. The exuberant people of Bangladesh were so happy getting the leader back to them.
আমার বাংলাদেশ আজ স্বাধীন হয়েছে, আমার জীবনের স্বাদ আজ পূর্ণ হয়েছে, আমার বাংলা মানুষ আজ মুক্ত হয়েছে।
Bangladesh took a tough challenge by taking over the reign of office, for the murderous Pakistani troops and their collaborators had left the country into a heap of devastation. All that were left was a completely broken infrastructure. He had to take responsibility of rehabilitating 30 million families. At the same time, he had to reinstate almost 500,000 military and civil Bengali people stranded in Pakistan after taking them back home. In the very first cabinet meeting held on 14 April 1972, all the dues and interest on land revenue were exempted. Removal of tax on salt and distribution of land among the rural landless was indeed a revolutionary step at that time. The famous Green Revolutions in the agricultural sector was initiated during his reign. Bangabandhu went out to the field to work by himself, and a whole nation stood by him in the stride for national reconstruction.
Banglar Hindu, Banglar Buddha, Banglar Christian, Banglar Musulman, Amra sabai Bangali. Banglar Hindu, Banglar Buddha, Banglar Christian.
The draft constitution of the country was enacted in the Legislative Council on 4th November 1972 based on 4 stale principles like democracy, nationalism, socialism and secularism. Thus, a historic commitment was fulfilled.
বিপ্লবের পরে কেউ শাসনতন্ত্র 11 মাসে দিতে পারে নাই। এই বাংলার মাটিতে আওয়ামী লীগ আমরা দিয়েছি। আপনাদের দলিল জনগণের অধিকারের দলিল। 25 বছর কত সংগ্রাম করছে এই দলিলের জন্য, সেই দলিল বাংলার মানুষ পেয়েছে।
As Bangabandhu issued an appeal, the valiant freedom fighters of the country responded by surrendering their firearms willingly. They devoted their potentials to rebuild the country, by which once they waged a fierce battle against the occupation army. A number of programs were initiated for the unemployed youths of the country. At Bangabandhu's instruction, India pulled out all its troops from Bangladesh. Due to an all-out search of the people, their struggle, and those of the able ministers, the new Bangladesh could be rebuilt. The war-injured freedom fighters were given medical treatment, and the women tortured during the war were given the honor of valiant warriors. He did give due importance to the basic rights like healthcare. Bangabandhu took bold initiatives for empowering women of the country.
নারীদের বিষয়ে বঙ্গবন্ধুর যে ভাবনা ছিল এবং নারীদের ক্ষমতায়নে তার যে আন্তরিকতা ছিল সেটার প্রমাণ কিন্তু আমরা অত্যন্ত চমৎকারভাবে পেয়েছি আমাদের সংবিধানে। প্রথমত সংবিধানে বলা হয়েছে যে বাংলাদেশের মূল লক্ষ্য ও উদ্দেশ্যই থাকবে প্রতিটি মানুষের মানবিক মর্যাদা এবং অধিকার রক্ষা করা, এবং নারীদের জন্য বিশেষভাবে বলা হয়েছে যে নারীরা যেন জনজীবনে সবার সঙ্গে সমান অধিকার ভোগ করতে পারে। আমরা যদি সংবিধানের সেই মূল নীতিগুলি হৃদয় দিয়ে আন্তরিকতা দিয়ে যদি আমরা পুনঃপ্রবর্তন করতে পারি, বঙ্গবন্ধু সেই সময় নারীর অধিকারের ব্যাপারে যে চিন্তাভাবনাগুলি করেছিলেন, যেটা অবশ্যই এসেছিল মানুষের আন্দোলনের মাধ্যমে, নারী আন্দোলনের মাধ্যমে, কিন্তু বঙ্গবন্ধু ছিলেন বলেই সেই আন্দোলনের যে মূল কথাগুলি ছিল, যে দাবিগুলি ছিল, সেটা এত সহজে সংবিধানে সন্নিবেশিত হতে পেরেছিল।
Bangabandhu wanted to develop the country through establishing an exploitation-free society. He founded education policy directives like Dr. Kudrat-e Khuda Commission. Major reforms were undertaken in education sector like free primary education for all, establishment of 11,000 new schools and nationalization of as many as 40,000 schools.
বঙ্গবন্ধু চেয়েছিলেন যে স্বাধীন বাংলাদেশে স্বাধীন নাগরিকদের উপযোগী শিক্ষা ব্যবস্থা প্রবর্তিত হোক। এর জন্য ডক্টর মোহাম্মদ কুদরত খোদাকে সভাপতি করে তিনি একটি শিক্ষা কমিশন গঠন করেন। আমি তার একজন সদস্য ছিলাম। আমাদের দুর্ভাগ্য যে বঙ্গবন্ধুর জীবদ্দশায় এই শিক্ষা কমিশনের রিপোর্ট সরকারিভাবে গৃহীত হলো না এবং বঙ্গবন্ধু হত্যার পর এই রিপোর্ট একরকম ফেলে দেওয়া হলো। কিন্তু আমার দৃঢ় বিশ্বাস যে বঙ্গবন্ধু যা চেয়েছিলেন, যদি তিনি একটু সময় পেতেন, যদি শেষকালে এই খাদ্য সংকট এবং অন্যান্য চাপ তার উপরে এত প্রবল হয়ে না বসত, তাহলে এই শিক্ষা কমিশনের রিপোর্ট তিনি গ্রহণ করতেন এবং শিক্ষাক্ষেত্রে আমরা একটা নতুন সূচনা করতে।
In the election manifesto of 1970, Awami League committed to build an exploitation-free and poverty-free society through equitable distribution of economic resources. In tune to this, Bangabandhu declared a new economic policy on 26 March 1972, which called for nationalization of banks, insurance and other industries, airlines, shipping and all enterprises left. The low-income group workers and employees of government and autonomous bodies were made to ensure huge employment scopes.
বঙ্গবন্ধু যখন দায়িত্বভার গ্রহণ করলেন তখন কিন্তু আমাদের $1 রিজার্ভ ছিল না। এমনকি IMF এর সদস্য হবার জন্য যেই পরিমাণ আমাদের চাঁদা দেওয়ার দরকার ছিল সেই অর্থটিও কিন্তু বিদেশি মুদ্রাও আমাদের হাতে ছিল না। এই সময়টায় তিনি কেন্দ্রীয় ব্যাংকটাকে পুনর্গঠন করলেন এবং একই সঙ্গে সমস্ত ব্যাংকিং সেক্টরকে তখন তিনি জাতীয়করণ করলেন। যেভাবে তিনি অর্থনৈতিক মুক্তি আনতে চাচ্ছিলেন স্বদেশের জন্য, সেরকম ফাইন্যান্সিয়াল সেক্টর অর্থাৎ আর্থিক খাতের উপরে সেই ধরনের নিয়ন্ত্রণের কিন্তু প্রয়োজন ছিল। সব দিক থেকে চিন্তা করলে মনে হয় তিনি অত্যন্ত দূরদর্শী একজন অর্থনৈতিক চিন্তক ছিলেন এবং সেইভাবেই স্বদেশকে পরিচালনা করবার জন্য পরিকল্পনা করেছেন এবং নিজে সেটা বাস্তবায়ন করবার উদ্যোগ নিয়েছিলেন।
Bangladesh's first general election took place on 7th March 1973, in which Awami League won an unprecedented landslide victory. Following the swearing-in ceremony of the new cabinet on 16 March 1973, the new stride got afoot to rebuild the country, and the new struggle that ensued was to make the supreme sacrifice of 3 million martyrs. Bangabandhu led the framing of the country's first 5-year plan and an annual development program. Bangabandhu was an idol to the leaders and workers and a symbol to follow. He made the party a truly popular entity through convening regular party conferences. This was followed by all other associated organizations and units of the party. Awami League pledged a number of major socio-economic directives, including waiving of land revenues up to 25 bighas. Yet another major challenge was to rebuild a patriotic national army as an appropriate, powerful and professional defense force. Bangabandhu committed to raise an elite army on the very occasion of cadet turnouts at Kumilla Military Academy on 11 January 1975. On 15 January 1975, Bangabandhu inaugurated the country's first police week. He proudly recalled the glorious role of policemen in the country's war of liberation. He did not forget to honor due dignity to the ever-vigilant border forces of the country, the Bangladesh Rifles, who played a key role of gallantry in the war. He undertook a number of initiatives to revamp all these defense and law enforcing constabularies. Bangladesh started diplomatic efforts for friendship through visiting friendly countries, including our neighbor India. During his visit to the Soviet Union, the two countries signed an economic cooperation treaty. And with the Prime Minister of India, Srimati Indira Gandhi, a treaty for peace and friendship was signed. Likewise, many foreign dignitaries visited Bangladesh at Bangabandhu's invitation. Two major achievements at that time were securing membership of the United Nations and recognition for Bangladesh from almost all the countries of the world. He joined the Non-Aligned Summit in 1973, held at Algiers at the invitation of Algerian President Yuri Boumediene, where he elaborately discussed common interest with the world leaders. He also joined the Islamic Summit held in Pakistan. While visiting Arabian countries, he championed brotherhood with the Arabs. Visiting Japan, he urged them to come forward in development partnership with Bangladesh. Japan responded to Bangabandhu's call, and the bridge on Jamuna, the Bangabandhu multi-purpose bridge, bears testimony of that era of Japan's cooperation. Yugoslav President Marshal Joseph Broz Tito called Bangabandhu as a symbol of peace, unity and progress. The World's Peace Council conferred upon Bangabandhu the honor of Julio Curie Award for Peace. Bangabandhu came to be elevated from friend of Bengal to the friend of the world. He upheld the dignity of Bangladesh by making the first historic UN General Assembly speech in Bangla.
বাংলাদেশ তার সকল প্রতিবেশী দেশের সঙ্গে সৎ প্রতিবেশী সুলভ সম্পর্ক প্রতিষ্ঠার চেষ্টা চালিয়ে যাবে। যে সম্পর্কের ভিত্তি হবে শান্তিপূর্ণ সহাবস্থান, পরস্পরের সার্বভৌমত্ব ও আঞ্চলিক অখণ্ডতার প্রতি সম্মান প্রদর্শন এবং একে অন্যের আভ্যন্তরীণ বিষয়ে হস্তক্ষেপ না করা।
বঙ্গবন্ধু ছিলেন আমাদের রাষ্ট্রের স্থপতি, তিনি জাতির পিতা, কিন্তু একই সাথে তিনি ছিলেন আমাদের পররাষ্ট্রনীতির নির্মাতা। এই ৩.৫ বছরের মাঝে তিনি যা কিছু করা সম্ভব বাংলাদেশকে বিশ্বের আন্তর্জাতিক অঙ্গনের প্রতিষ্ঠা করার, সুপ্রতিষ্ঠিত করার, তা তিনি করে গেছেন। আমি এটুকু জোর দিয়ে বলবো যে সেই 1972-এর সেই শুরুর দিন থেকে আজ পর্যন্ত বাংলাদেশের যেসব পররাষ্ট্রনীতি, যেসব মেইন থার্স্টগুলো রয়েছে, সেগুলো কিন্তু বঙ্গবন্ধুরই তৈরি। বঙ্গবন্ধু যখন বেঁচে থাকতেন তখন বাংলাদেশের পররাষ্ট্রনীতিকে তিনি কোন পর্যায়ে নিয়ে যেতেন তা একজন পেশাদার কূটনীতিক হিসেবে আমি দিব্য চোখে দেখতে পাই।
Bangabandhu paid high tributes to the great poets Rabindranath Tagore and Qazi Nazrul Islam by choosing Tagore's Amar Shonar Bangla being the country's national anthem and declaring Qazi Nazrul Islam as national poet. It was at his keen desire that poet Qazi Nazrul Islam was taken to Bangladesh for permanent domicile, and his famous Chol 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 song was nominated as the nation's war anthem. Bangabandhu's contribution is incomparable in the advancement of Bangla language, literature and culture, for he himself was to be revered as the greatest Bengali of the millennium. He took great interest in the country's media. He was blessed with a peaceful home with his better half, Begum Fazilatun Nisa or Begum Mujib, always sharing with him, like his shadow, the source of his inspiration and sharer of all his pains and pleasure. Pursuing the path of secularism in spirit, he was a devout Muslim and an ardent follower of the great ideals of Islam. He established Islamic Foundation with an objective to further advance the meat of Islamic research and studies. He also reconstituted the Madrasa Education Board and put a ban on anti-Islamic and immoral practices. To the children, he was totally a different personality. He wanted to consign his unfulfilled mission on the future generation. To the freedom-loving people of the world, Bangabandhu was an icon of inspiration. But some local mischievous hoarders and black marketeers joined hands with the imperialists and anti-liberation forces, and that alliance led to the creation of an artificial famine in 1974. But Bangabandhu could face the situation with his political wisdom. The famine was followed by flood, and Bangabandhu rushed to the affected people. He urged upon the rehabilitation centers in each ward and villages. The whole world came forward beside the distressed people of Bangladesh. Bangabandhu explained the situation to the nation at a public meeting on the occasion of Independence Day in 1975, and he called for the second revolution, for building an exploitation-free society, for augmenting production at factories and fields, control birth rate, and on top of all, forging a greater national unity.
যে কাজে ফাঁকি দেয় সে দুর্নীতিবাদ, যে ঘুষ খায় সে দুর্নীতিবাদ, যে স্মাগলিং করে সে দুর্নীতিবাদ, যে আপনার ব্ল্যাক মার্কেটিং করে সে দুর্নীতিবাদ, যে জমি জিনিস হোল্ড করে সে দুর্নীতিবাদ। যারা কাজের কর্তব্য পালন করে না তারাও দুর্নীতিবাদ। যারা বিবেকের বিরুদ্ধে কাজ করে তারাও দুর্নীতিবাদ। যারা বিদেশের কাছে দেশকে বিক্রি করে তারাও দুর্নীতিবাদ। এই দুর্নীতিবাদদের বিরুদ্ধে আমাদের সংগ্রাম শুরু।
When the undisputed leader of the masses, Sheikh Mujibur Rahman, was making a headway to rebuild the nation, just at that moment, the anti-liberation forces made a severe assault. They failed to make blockades to progress, and at last the conspiracy led to the massacre of Bangabandhu Sheikh Mujibur Rahman along with his entire family. the dream of making golden Bangla met a severe setback. But the dictates of the time never cease to assert, even if it remains blind. The new generation of the 21st century feel at the depth of their hearts that Mujib means nothing other than freedom. This is a bond between father and his son. Today, millions of voices make out this valiant chorus, once echoed out of the great voice of Mujib, now in multiple magnitudes.